Hey, Deb. Hey, Deb.
Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah. I'm not at home, so I'm just on my phone.
Cool, no problem.
Oh, no, we are still trying to do this vacation development project we're doing, and oh my God, it's just a zoo here with Workman. We're having open house tomorrow, and
Well, that sounds exciting.
well, it is, but there's just a lot to do. So I got friends coming down after a while to help me.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah. Sort beds, make beds. Okay, so how you doing?
Did you get my email about the AV equipment and internet?
Yes, they have that, yeah.
Good, I thought so. I'm just trying to line up things. It looks like the plan is that I'll come up, I'm gonna come up to my sister's in Morganton on the
Right.
Saturday the 17th so that we can drive up early that next morning and see how much.
Yeah.
Do you think the church will you be available, first of all? I think you said you would, till 3.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And that's okay if I don't get to that. I just go for support. But yeah, so that'll be good.
Yeah, and do you think we can get into the church to see that facility and everything?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because
so you think you'll be here about 10? It's not too far from Morganton.
It's
3 hours.
It's like 2 hours and something, I think.
Oh, 2 hours. Oh, okay.
That's what it says. So, and I'll bring Betsy. You'll love Betsy. I told you her history, right? In the email, she lost.
I'm sorry.
She lost 2 sons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lord, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and let her share that story with you. But
okay, yeah.
But she's an amazing human being. She's actually my stepsister, but she's been my sister since she was a teenager. So
Right.
So we're family. Hi, Mariel. I see Mariel's on. There she is. So far, it's you, me, and Kay.
Oh, okay.
Hey, girls.
Oh.
And there's Christy Wyatt, Christy Newell. Hey, Christy. Can you hear us? She might be on mute, I guess.
Hello.
Oh, there she is. Hey. There's 4 of us so far, Christy.
Okay, great.
I know this is going to be, there's Tom.
Where's Tom today?
Hello.
Where are you today, Tom?
Oh, I'm in Chapel Hill, believe it or not. I'm at home. Yeah, I'm home. Something that's it's unfamiliar ground to me lately.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
So far, it's Kay, Christy, and Mariel and I, Tom.
Oh, is Christy on? Was that Christy?
There she is.
Hey,
Hi.
Christy.
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, and you know what? I love you.
I love you too.
You're the girl. You're the girl.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
I don't see Christy on the list. Is she registered?
Yes, absolutely. Kay, you know,
Oh,
you've seen her at the, you
I
saw
just
her.
don't see her name on here. I thought I had the latest, but I guess
Yeah, she's
must
on the
not.
list, as was the lady you emailed me about.
okay. Yeah, she just didn't show up on the list
Yeah,
when you
she's-
emailed it to me.
She's on there because I went back and checked.
It might be
Well, I
in
mean,
a
the last one I got from you, she's not there. But maybe I don't have your latest.
Anyway, yeah, so there's Ricky Hill. Hey, Ricky. We've got a couple more minutes. We'll see who else can get on. I know it was a holiday week for a lot of people, and I imagine a lot of people are catching up.
Oh yeah.
Bill Hollingshead's on.
Chief Hollingshead.
Yes, ma'am.
I started to call you Chief. What do we call you now? Candlestick maker?
I answered to just about anything. So whatever.
So where are you hanging out these days?
Well, I've actually got an office in Raleigh in the Waynesville Town Hall. They leased me some office space, but I'll be back and forth to Raleigh quite a bit. In fact, I leave Wednesday for Wilmington for a conference, but for the most part, they let me work out of Waynesville. So I'm very fortunate.
Very good. We don't want to lose you.
Well, I don't know about that, but but it's mighty convenient for me. It's very nice.
We're not going to let go of Mr. Hollingshead. No way.
No.
Hi,
Right,
Anita.
right.
I see Anita and Beverly and Vanessa
Oh, good.
are on,
Good.
and Laura and Chris. This was probably before all your times, but I remember some little childhood show where the lady that came on and held a mirror and said, "I see Timmy and
Oh,
Bobby,"
yes.
and I kept
Yes, I remember that.
my name.
I remember that.
And there's Ted. Hi, Ted. All right.
Are you there, Ted?
I'm here.
Hey.
Good morning.
Thank you all of you for getting on. I know how busy your Monday morning must be, especially after a holiday week. And if we can, I see a lot of you are, but if everybody would mute your phones and/or computers until you get ready to speak, and try to remember to unmute when you do. I have a problem with that sometimes. Somebody is driving.
I'm not driving, but I have a bulldozer out in front of us.
Maybe that's what
Maybe I
it is.
should mute.
That could be. Try muting your phone or whenever you're not speaking. That helps. There we go. That's perfect. Laura, I hope you heard I said hey to you.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you for being on the call. Is anybody, is this the first call for anybody? I know Bill missed it last week or 2 weeks ago, but was everybody else on the first call?
This
I was
is the
not.
first call for me.
Was that you, Laura, or Vanessa?
Vanessa.
Okay.
And
Good.
Laura.
And Laura. Okay. Did you get the video of last week's call?
I did. I got also the email
Perfect.
topics, so I'm a little bit up to date.
Well, wonderful. That was the next thing I was going to ask. Well, first of all, let me start over with, I'm, for those of you that are new, I'm Deborah Kopatowski, and I'm the Recovery Alliance Coordinator. And we are a nonprofit 501c3 nonprofit. And we welcome all of you, brilliant people and organizations. That's what we do, is try to bring the wonderful work that's happening together and see if we can't make even greater work happen. And we really appreciate all of your efforts to be on these calls and to help make this summit all that it can be. We've got Tom Edwards on the call. Tom is the founder and board chair. So this was his brainchild about, gosh, I guess what, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Tom? You're muted.
He's asleep. He's taking a nap.
Yeah, for once I'm following instruction and not, and muting my phone. But yes, it's about 6 years, 7 years ago it started. And look, I don't have a lot to say today. I'm just going to say good morning to everyone, which I've already said, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. Recovery Alliance is simply a support system for recovery. And we're here to support the good work that's going on all over our state. And in this particular, the way we do that is through summits with one way. And most of you, many of you have been involved. We have state summits, regional summits, and or pods. But this is a little different event, 7 counties. So really, we just want to come in and do what we can do to support the good work that you guys are already doing. So that's all I really have to say. And I know they got a pretty stacked agenda here. So that's it for me for now.
And then we have Mariel. Mariel's been a volunteer, God bless her, since the onset of Recovery Alliance, and she is invaluable and has helped to bring it to where it is today. And we really, really appreciate her. And I'm anxious for all of you to meet her, those of you who haven't. Hey, Mariel.
Hello.
Thanks for being on the call. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right, let's see here. We'll get on with. Did everybody get the attachments we sent?
Yes.
Awesome. And I think Vanessa and Laura said that they did too. The community issues, we've had people sending in, particularly you guys in the focus group, but some others as well, sending in what they felt was the critical issues in your community. And this is where we start with any summit, is trying to figure out what are the key issues, taking your consensus of thoughts together and figuring out what it is we need to do at the summit to start to affect change and create action in the communities. Was it you, Vanessa, that said you had printed out your the documents?
Yes, I just printed mine out.
Okay. Have you had a chance to look over those?
No, I actually haven't gotten them out. Hold on and I'll grab them.
Okay, sure. Take your time. Who has had a chance to look over them, and what do you think so far? Do you think we're getting a finger on the pulse?
Boy, I do. I agree. Yeah.
Is there anything, those of you who have had a chance to look over this, is there anything you see that's missing? We're going to kind of hit the topics here in a minute. I hate to read verbatim. But I mean, the first one that comes up is prevention. I think that's one of the key ones that we're definitely all looking at. Provide each county with a risk assessment of some sort to monitor youth behaviors and assess impact of prevention. We actually have some studies that were done by Dr. Hoffman and Dr. Kopak. And I actually spoke with Dr. Hoffman the other day. Tom, I think you know him well, and probably some of the others of you up there do as well. They've actually done studies right there in local schools as well as the jails. He's worked with Sheriff Christopher, and he may have worked with Bill Hollingshead some too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we worked through Western Carolina, he and Dr. Vasky on a number of projects.
Yes, they've got some great local statistics that we can use for that. And then prevention, we're talking about starting pre-K and kindergarten right up through grade 12. What are your all's thoughts on that?
It's a definite.
I mean, really, too early?
I would say that would take a lot of work with each individual school system. Just from work I've done in the past with needs assessments of any kind when it comes to students. That's sometimes a hard thing to have happen. So I don't know who you are working with the school systems, but it would be really important to have them involved in that conversation.
It's a really good point.
Yes, and we're missing 4 counties here without any school participation so far.
And some of the counties have done and are doing assessments based on their participation in different grant processes through schools and communities.
So it sounds like some research would be helpful. In other words, collecting some of that information if we were going to, if a table group were going to move forward with something like this.
Right.
Right.
There are a lot of curriculums out there, and all very good and evidence-based.
Right.
Hey, this is Rick at Hinton. One thing we have recently done is to redo the PRIDE survey, which tests 7th, 9th, and 11th grade. We also had additional questions added to this for substance use through Mountain Projects. They had I done it before with another group, and it worked out very well. So that's one way to get a great relationship with the school system, as well as get data on your school students.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. The PRIDE survey. I'm taking notes here. Awesome. And then we move right into education on that community issues. Have a state level substance abuse campaign. It's not just about opioids. Other substances are issues as well, including, alcohol and
Everything.
Yes, everything. It's cigarettes for that matter, because I know Dr. Hoffman has some studies about how teenagers smoking leads on to other things, including some of the truly deadly substances.
Mm-hmm. And dipping.
Reducing stigma always comes up. Always.
Mm-hmm.
Critical component here. Provides substance use intensive outpatient classes in Jackson and Swain County specifically. That was obviously an individual's request. Provide SUD and MH classes in the evening for those who work during the day. Employ someone with substance use credentials to work with students in schools.
The substance use intensive outpatient and the substance use mental health classes, I'm not sure what that person meant by classes, but those really go under treatment, not education.
Okay. Okay.
But we still want to leave it in the schools, right? That it would happen in the schools.
Hey, Deborah, this is Rick.
Substance use intensive outpatient treatment is a treatment service for adults. And I'm not sure what the person meant by classes, so that may be something they meant by in the schools. But if it's for, adults, that would be under treatment.
It's a very good point. That's a good point. And Kay, to your point, I think there needs to be a level of that to some degree in the school.
In the school, yeah.
Well, Ricky, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say I'm a mental health first aid trainer, and this is an educational component. We don't teach people how to diagnose or treat, but we teach people how to recognize and be aware and to refer. So that would be a class that could be taught. For example, we've done it to the teachers in Clay County and Cherokee County so they can be better aware of signs and symptoms in the classroom. So that to me would be the classroom educational component.
Oh, wow, Ricky, that's exciting.
And with the adult version, there is we have 2 courses, adult and youth. And the adult course does offer a opioid component to it. So we talk about opioids, alcohol use and things like that, and the comorbidity of mental health issues with substance use issues.
Awesome. That is incredible.
And one of the things that I noticed around reduced stigma, if we can line that out just a little bit more, as we're going to be starting a MAT program here in Macon County, and there's going to be a lot of resistance around that. So even stigma reduction around different treatment modalities.
True. Very true, Christy. Good point. I just made a note of that too. Let's see what else. So this leads up to Recovery High School. I know I had 2-3 people mention that. We are trying to get someone from, there's a woman, Leah Wright. She was at the state summit. Ricky, you weren't there. Gosh, I hate that you missed that. And Kay, I'm not sure you got a chance to meet her.
No, I didn't make it either. Yeah.
Yeah, she's they're working on one here in Raleigh, and it's due to open the fall of 2020. Of course, we have Mary Ferrari in Charlotte, who has the Emerald School going. We're trying to get her to attend, or get Leah to share, even though Leah's not there yet. She said they're still trying to get their 501c3 together and get that operating. It's happening there. It just takes time. And she said she could at least share where they've come so far and how one would go about creating something like this. Does this sound like something you guys would be interested in having?
Let me ask this, is there anyone in the region over there that you know of that has a real passion around the Recovery High Schools? Love to hear from you guys.
We have, who mentioned something that there used to be something similar to this in Asheville? But
I don't know. I know that Caleb McCoy with Res Hope, he serves with the one in Charlotte that you mentioned. I don't know if he's on their board or their planning team, their vision team, but he serves with them.
Wonder if he would be available to come to the summit. I mean, if he knows what they're doing.
I think that
I've asked him a couple of times.
I think that they're on a Pacific Coast Highway bike ride right now for about another month. So I'm not sure what the timing is on that one.
Mm.
Okay.
he's been invited to, he was invited to the Western Regional. He's been invited to this one as well. If anybody knows him and can reach out to him personally, that would be absolutely wonderful, because that's, he's from your area. We would love to have him be a part of this discussion for sure.
I'll reach out to him.
That's great, Ted. Thank you. Okay, then treatment. From several people, it was mentioned that we need to look at treatment that's based on the individual's needs, because everybody's unique. And to Christy's point, the stigma around MAT, or whether it's 12-step, whatever it is, that seems to be a big point. Do you guys agree?
Yes. It has to be individual.
There's no one path, is there?
Right.
So yeah, different treatment for each individual's journeys. Specifically, someone requested providers that will offer MAT in Swain County. Need to be more long-term treatment options.
Mm.
Another good point is treatment for health conditions compounded from drug misuse.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, co-occurring illnesses that come with it. Over-medicating those in treatment. Certainly lack of affordability of treatment for drug use or medical care. Options for inpatient treatment, specifically in Swain, someone mentioned. For those who are out of detox and waiting for a bed, there's that in-between period. That's what we're talking about, where people tend to fall through the cracks. Critical time periods there. And then treatment for adults and foster children. To include trauma, anger management, and depression. Counseling for families stuck in the cycle of poverty. I mean, this is the picture that we're looking at.
It is.
So I guess one of the points of the summit will be to actually educate people about some of these things that actually are available and currently happening.
This is precisely why we have this, and this is why we often encourage, whenever it's possible, to have several sectors at the different tables. We'll go into the table topics and stuff here in a minute and how we come about with those, but just having them in the room, for that matter. At the beginning, we like to acknowledge what sectors are present, be it clergy, prevention, providers, law enforcement. We like to have everybody stand so we can see who all's there, and try to get to know each one and figure out how we can all interconnect, interweave these treatments, these support systems for individuals in substance use, who have a substance use disorder that are trying to get treatment. It's critical, and you're absolutely right. The networking piece of it is a huge part of this, but we want to take it to the next level, and really try to sit down at each individual table and create action plans to move forward following the summit. We have a plan of how to actually make these things come into being. That's what it's about. Peer support was another thing. That was a big at the state summit.
Before you go on,
yes.
If I may add to the treatment, and this may impact several others, I noticed I don't see transportation on there. You may have the treatment facilities, but if people can't get to them to get the treatment, then the facility's no good.
Absolutely.
So true. So true.
Transportation, I'm surprised we don't. I thought it was in here somewhere. I think it falls under resources. Yeah, we have it under resources.
Okay.
There's no question, transportation, and maybe we need to put it there as well too.
Hey, Debbie, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Stephanie. Sorry, we've been having technical problems. I haven't been able to speak. I've tried about 25 times at this point. Hi, Claudia and I are both here from Western North Carolina AIDS Project Full Circle Recovery Center and Western North Carolina Harm Reduction Alliance. The Recovery High School issue, I've been talking about that since I moved here. Michelle Lipinski, who started the first Recovery High School in Massachusetts, is available to do consultation if folks in the Western region are interested in actually starting a school. So I want to offer that resource. I've spoken to her many times about it, and she's pretty incredible. So
great.
Expert that's been principal of Recovery High School for more than a decade at our disposal.
Awesome. Wonder if Caleb would know her or know of her.
No, Caleb doesn't know her.
Okay.
No. Caleb's new working with recovery. He's, not been in recovery a long time himself. He's just very outspoken and active. These are contacts, longtime contacts of mine. He doesn't know her.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep that in mind for sure. Thank you. Is that Claudia with you? Hi, Claudia.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Okay. So then moving on. Thank you, Stephanie. Moving on to peer support. Need a program for those in recovery when they return back to their communities. That's critical. And like I said, that was a big, big topic at the state summit this year. Not only for peer support, but also even though some areas have the peer support, they don't have enough. And so looking at the training piece of it and making it, by getting more people on board with it, so it won't be so much stress on those who are already peer supporters. So any thoughts on that? Okay.
There are lots of efforts going on in that regard. Peer support is embedded in many services that people receive. There's Cherokee Clay and Graham. They have an intense focus on building peer support outside of treatment services in their community. Macon County has a great new program that just is starting, but they've got space. They're going to be doing a lot of peer support in the community that's not attached directly to a provider. So there's a lot of good work going on in that effort.
That's wonderful. That's what we need to hear about. Who was that? Who's speaking?
Shelley Foreman.
Shelley, I thought I recognized you, Shelley. Thanks. I didn't see you pop on. I apologize. Wonderful. That's so good to know.
Hey, to add to that, Stacy Ludford with Rock Bottom Recovery here in Clay County. I believe she is a trained peer support specialist.
Awesome. I think she's on our invitation list. She may have
She,
already.
I put her there. Yeah. But
Can I
Okay.
make a comment about the peer support? This is Amanda from Cherokee County.
Yes,
So Shelley's right, there's a lot going on, but I think DSSs in particular are very interested in peer support in DSS agencies. While there are, or it seems there are some initiatives moving forward, we really, in my view, need to focus on this. This is a key strategy, and there really are not enough peer support persons available. It's very difficult to form a collaboration with peer supports, and so if we could do anything increasing the peer support availability in Western Carolina is crucial. DSS agencies rely on this. It's a key strategy, and I think this initiative really needs to focus on this as a top priority.
Awesome. I'm going to make a note of that. As I said, that was a big, big topic at the state summit. Yes, there were some out there, but they were so stressed.
Right. There's not enough.
Exactly.
Right.
And then it's very difficult to get a peer support in place in terms of how it's funded and that sort of thing. And what we know is that that this is going to greatly facilitate a person's ability to get into recovery and remain in recovery, and there just simply isn't enough. It really is a gap.
It is a huge gap. Chris Budnick, who's a part of Recovery Alliance too, he's with Healing Transitions. He's been working with this particular issue. I don't know that he was able to get on the call today, but he will definitely be at the summit and can be a huge help with this. So thank you so much for bringing all of that up, all of you.
Deb, you should know we have a peer support specialist on staff here that's mobile. I think the challenge with a typical peer support specialist and a harm reduction peer support specialist is the focus is really different. So we're in the process of creating a harm reduction peer support specialist training that would be offered out to the region to folks that are already certified as peer support specialists, as well as other folks that are interested.
Okay.
There's a lot of conversation about how that might be funded, just to let you know that's in our planning pike. But we have one full-time on staff in a mobile capacity for the 7 western counties.
Great.
awesome.
Good to know.
May I add to that too, please? This is Laura Connor. I run a recovery center here, and I'm a peer support specialist, and all of my staff are also peer support specialists here. We've just now hired 2 peers that are using medication-assisted therapy, and they're also working in the medication-assisted groups that we have here on the Qualla boundary for the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. So I think that's fantastic, what the training that you're offering, Stephanie, because depending on where these folks work, really depends on the type of supervision that they need. So I think training like that would be exciting. I also wanted to mention too, there is a program in Buncombe County with their DSS system, and it was run by Dan Pizzo, P-I-Z-Z-O.
Mm-hmm.
And they have 2 peers that were also a part of that system back in the day when they were in active addiction. But that program is, their numbers, success rates are through the roof. So he may be another contact that we could connect with.
I think Buncombe, unless someone's on the phone, but I think they were working to implement a replica of the START model out of Kentucky in a DSS, and that is a model that has a strong reliance on the use of peer support, and that's why I'm talking so much about this, because the numbers are through the roof. We may not all be able to put all the elements in place that the START model has, but we can certainly start with peer support. That is the right beginning, even if we can't get the other elements in place.
True.
So Dan's a personal friend of mine, Debbie. If you want me to reach out to him, there's a lot of printed materials that he has available about his program, and we could make them available at the day of the event if you wanted to. He's got like a one-page fact sheet. It's pretty incredible what they've done up there.
That'd be great.
Would you like me to do that?
Please, Steph, that sounds wonderful. We need to reach out to Dan then, because Dan was a big part of our focus group for the Western region. He actually has formed a closed group on our website where he was carrying out a lot of the work. He found that was really helpful for him. All right, great input. We'll move on to housing. Housing, we've heard, I know from the Western Regional, that was a huge piece. I think it probably is in most any area of the state, but particularly up in the far Western. Provide shelter for those suffering. Shortage of affordable rental properties. There apparently is a long waiting list for HUD, and many are left homeless. And again, I bring up the example of Pathways, what Sheriff Christopher has done with Pathways. It's one example of a way to start moving in the right direction. Any thoughts on those?
This is Rick. I guess a question I would have is, I keep hearing the term transitional housing. Are you saying that that is the same thing as the housing here, or is that something we're missing in this setup? The reason I say that is I know several of our groups, when they go to the jails and here in Clay and Cherokee counties, especially the ladies, they are being told that they need an alternate place to go from the day they're released from jail, because if they don't have that transitional location to go to, they go back to the old neighborhood, back to the old ways, back in jail.
Right.
So that also may be something to look at too, as a way to give them time to also get on their feet to get into rental property. Because I'm assuming that if they've been in jail, they probably have lost their job, don't have driver's license for transportation, and many other things they would need to survive in rental property.
You've been to Pathways, right?
Yes, I've been to Pathways. I've visited Freedom Life Ministries. I visited the program there in Buncombe County. All good programs.
Yeah. So I think I want to say yes to all of that. I think it's housing at all different stages. Right out of jail. Following that, helping, I mean, it's the whole bailiwick. What do you guys think?
So I think we need to be clear about what we're talking about. So sober housing or transitional housing. Transitional housing model is usually a 3-quarter property where you have possibly a case manager that's connected to it, something like Clean Slate Coalition in Silva. They have 6 female beds. Sober housing is usually not structured, where a bunch of people are living together that are in recovery. There could be drug testing requirements. There could be like a weekly meeting, a house meeting requirement. Some of the houses are now trying to become sober houses that have medication-assisted treatment folks there. But right now in Western North Carolina, I've heard of one sober house that's up in the Waynesville area. I think it's called Rockies something or other. That's the only one we have in 3,000 square miles.
Wow.
So when we're talking about supportive living, forget the houses and the apartments. If we're just talking about places to go with a little bit of structure and mutual support, we really have a huge need.
We do.
There's the Oxford House model. We've been talking with Justin, who is the statewide coordinator for all the Oxford House properties. And what we need is somebody who's interested in renting a house from somebody and then filling it with folks that are sober, coming out of treatment or whatever it looks like. And then being able to sustain that healthy environment for people with that mutual support. So there are many different models. North Carolina has a recovery residence organization that they have guidelines for what each level of house has to encompass in order to be certified with them. And so, that's something, if folks are interested in learning more about that, that's a place that you can get more information. And they're part of the National Recovery Residences organization as well. But we need the basic grassroots, bottom, just sober housing, and a house where people living together that are sharing. It'd be great to get transitional housing, but at least the cheapest model that's available is sober housing, and we don't even have that. So.
Oh, very important. Very important. You can see the work we have ahead of us, folks. Good stuff, though. Good stuff. This is where it all starts, with all this sharing. I'm going to move on to law enforcement. We've got some exciting things that are starting, or in the process, I should say, up there. I know Bill can elaborate on some of this about expanding the programs such as LEADS, so that law enforcement can be a part of the solution. There was again, our comments directly taken from things that were submitted to me. NPK received substance use treatment in jails, understanding that there's sometimes gray area between dealers and users, meaning, I think the example the person who sent this in was like, sometimes one would pay someone, quote unquote, with drugs to transport them somewhere. Just, you know, the whole issue of transportation being an issue. They don't have a driver's license, they don't have a car. So they say, here, you know, I'll give you this if you'll take me where. Maybe they're going to, you know, maybe they're trying to get somewhere to get help, or maybe they're trying to get a job or whatever. So they're saying, you know, these are not the dealers, the hardcore dealers. This is just someone who really is in need of treatment. So that was a good point, I felt, that there is that gray area there. Escalating of crime for money to support the habit. I've heard that mentioned not only at this summit, but also at the Western Regional. Any thoughts on this? Bill, did you want to bring some thoughts into this?
I just got a text from Bill. He had a meeting at 11:30, so he's not on with us.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, I know Sheriff Christopher moved out of the state summit, and he has a group working on expanding leads in that area, along with Melissa Larson and a number of other sheriffs in the area. Anybody else have comments? I know there's some counties that desperately need this, based on the input that I got, that there were, you know, that this is an area that we need to expand, because again, that's going to make the law enforcement part of the solution rather than just throwing people in jail and have them come out and repeat this again without getting the help that they need to hopefully reverse these issues and have a decent life. As we know, and it's been brought out in summits before, the cost. Tom, do you remember what that cost was again, is for housing someone in jail versus treatment?
Well, it depends, obviously, one to another, but one county I was with the sheriff, and it was $118 per day is what they figured it cost them to keep them in the system. Of course, that was the sheriff and all that goes into that. Whereas I do know and what just really has stuck with me forever, I knew at the time Healing Transition was at $38 per day. And that to me is where it just seems crazy. You know, why would we do one and not the other? So, yeah. And that's just one county, one sheriff.
Deborah, this is Shelley. I'm going to just have a little sort of react to what you the way you framed that with law enforcement. What I would say, and I know like people like Amanda, and I'm not sure others on the phone who've been working in our system a long time, there's been an incredible amount of evolution in the way law enforcement works with people with addiction. And I can say across our 7 counties that our sheriff's offices and our police departments really, to varying degrees, but overall are really very open and active to participating in programs. Many of them have treatment and or groups in their jails. Many of them are trying to link people after. So I just want to be careful in the way that we sort of look at law enforcement, because they're a big partner and they really are in many cases working very hard to grow and evolve what they're doing for people with addiction.
And Shelley, I couldn't agree more. We are so excited with what's happening with law enforcement. Again, these are not my comments. These are comments that were sent by other leaders in the community there in those 7 counties. So I'm just reiterating what they're saying. So just to make that perfectly clear, I totally agree with you. What Sheriff Christopher, Bill Holling said, and some of the other sheriffs and police chiefs up there are doing is so exciting. I wasn't even aware fully of this until about a year ago. So again, these are just comments that apparently not everybody's on board, but I absolutely agree with you 100%. It is an amazing, wonderful evolution. Anybody else have comment about law enforcement specifically?
Shelley, maybe you can urge those sheriffs in the 4 different counties who haven't responded to maybe sign up for the summit.
Yeah, I'll be at a meeting with them next week, so I will mention it.
Good, because we only have three signed up so far. So
we have Sheriff Christophers. Are you going to be part of that meeting, Shelley?
Yes, and Sheriff Christopher, you or Jeff will probably be there at the sheriff's meeting.
Because I know we have Joe Marks, who's going to be there representing Recovery Alliance, and he's going to speak for a few minutes. Sheriff Christopher's made time for him to speak for a few minutes about the upcoming summit. So that'll be helpful.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to harm reduction. Educate and expand in our communities to save lives. There is, somebody expressed that there was a fear of traveling with used needles to return to syringe exchange, something I never even thought about, for fear they'd get caught in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else anybody can think of as far as harm reduction? I know, we need it. We need more of it. We need to educate people about it. Steph? Ricky, anyone?
I mean, I can talk all day about the issues with harm reduction in the 7 western counties. What do you want to know specifically, Deb?
No, nothing. I just didn't know if you had some other comments of things we want to look at to discuss at the summit about it.
I think for me, the biggest barrier for us being successful in the work that we do are the providers. And so we receive very little referral from VIA or from the treatment programs that are in Western North Carolina. I know Meridian and Appalachian are completely on board. It's the providers themselves, I think, that the challenge lies with. They don't often think of us as part of the continuum of care. And this is where a lot of the connections are first made for people to get to treatment. We've done over 40 referrals to care of some level of care since February. I don't know about y'all, but that's a lot of people to be placing with food or with treatment, whatever it looks like. So we are where they come to when other agencies don't want to work with them because they're still using. We don't require them to be abstinent to participate in our services, and it's not our goal for them to be sober. Our goal is for them to be alive and healthy, and so their substance use choices are theirs. Obviously, we're always helping them work towards abstinence because we know that folks that don't use substances have better outcomes in all areas of their life. So talking to the providers themselves about what services are actually available and how to access services to us is an important part, because we are trying to offer services in all 7 western counties.
And if I can say something, I think if people, or if especially organizations, realize that, for instance, syringe exchange is a great way of getting access to folks that are still actively using for many reasons. Or like we had here with the bacterial meningitis, to get the word out and have people actually contact the health department, which they normally wouldn't have done. To right now, we just came from a meeting with the maintenance head of maintenance to get the word out about some issues that they're having with the public bathrooms and why there is certain things they have to do, and have the folks understand why some bathrooms are closed, and it isn't just a personal punishment that they don't let them use it, just a access point. And a lot of agencies, if they would realize that this is the place they come to, and when we give them information, they don't necessarily, they have trust in here because they've been receiving food and clothing and syringes. Nobody's requiring anything from them to get the services. That's where the trust is built.
So it's a different model.
Right. Good point, though. Very good point.
But everybody's so focused on abstinence that it misses all of the people that are most vulnerable and in the highest need. So
it's that missing link, I guess.
It's one of them. You know, when I first started here 13 years ago, it was medication-assisted treatment. I couldn't find a provider in Western North Carolina that would refer anybody to Suboxone and methadone. And so that shifted now after many, many years of advocacy and movement on the national level. Anyway, I don't want to monopolize.
Well, thank you for your input. I think it's very important that we bring all of this to light. I will move on. Stigma, we've talked about. There's a number of issues there. Those of you who have the document in front of it, you probably don't need me to bring that to light for you, but I think that's something that is an issue with a number of different topics regarding SUD. And the public awareness of it, I think, is critical too. So the big thing, I guess, is when we start getting down to resources and funding. Resources becoming aware of what's available and what they do, such as the Men's Teen Challenge of the Smokies. This was something, again, that one of our leaders submitted to us. Then we had somebody else who said provide 12-step meeting options in all counties, including groups receptive to individuals in MAT. Include sponsors for folks in early SUD recovery. Identify gaps in resources. What is missing? Where do we need it? And someone said missing resources in Swain require those in recovery to travel to other counties. Again, then you start bringing up, of course, transportation, which Ricky brought out earlier. Transportation is critical. We definitely need to consider that with any of the work that we do in August. Here's an interesting one I hadn't even thought about. Provide support for grandparents and other extended family members raising children of those suffering with SUDs. And basic needs such as food, clothing, nurturing for abused and neglected children. Huge, huge piece there. I really appreciate these issues that were brought forward. Funding for all groups and projects. For nonprofit and faith-based programs, funding. And we're lucky enough, we've got a couple of people attending that might be able to help guide us in that direction, that have already registered. Anyone you know of that we think we can get to come to the summit to hear what we're trying to accomplish with these action plans, please let me know, and we will send them invitations. Anybody that's a part of a foundation or something that we could send information to get them in the room would be great. Drug courts. This goes back to your law enforcement, how to expedite the legal process to apply for programs such as Men's Teen Challenge, work with attorneys in jails, receive substance treatment in jails. These were all issues that were submitted.
Deborah?
Yes.
This is Rick. I'm actually working on trying to connect with our district court judge, Judge Walker, about drug court. I'm meeting with the sheriffs from Cherokee, Clay, and Graham County on Wednesday, and also the assistant DA for our area to start talking about this, because we've discovered that unless you have the judge on board and the judge says, okay, there is no drug court. So I'm working on that angle. And I'm also working with a meeting on Senator Jim Davis. So once they're out of session, he's going to come out here and meet with all of us here in the community to hear what's going on about drug court. And so we're working that angle as well. So we have made contact with Judge Walker. It's just a matter of now getting a date where we can go to his office and talk about this and get support. We've also reached out to the NC judicial system in Raleigh and gotten the documentation and the guidance that talks about drug court and how to set it up in your area. But again, Judge Walker is the key.
Judge Walker, I'm going to write that down. By the way, Senator Davis is going to be away on vacation and will not be able to make it to the summit, but he's been a big supporter of what we're doing there.
Yeah, he and I have been emailing back
I'm
and
sorry.
forth, and I say our initial plan was to go to Raleigh, meet him there, but when they went into extended session, he said, "No, I'll just come see you in the mountains." So he'll be out here at some point.
Wonderful. Good. Please keep us posted on all of that.
Definitely.
And Ricky, I'm not sure we have Walker on the list under, can you make sure he knows about it?
I will do that.
The summit?
Yes.
Well, here he is. He is on the list, Richard Walker. But yeah, personal touch would be good.
Yes, definitely. The other piece that came up was employment opportunities. Local employers willing to work with treatment providers to employ folks in early recovery with criminal history and or limited work history. An essential for sustained recovery. And there's no question, reentry is getting to be a big, big topic right now. Just like housing and transportation, they have to be able to get jobs to sustain themselves in a healthy lifestyle. We're actually going to have a couple people attend who are running small businesses that will work with people who are in this particular situation coming out of treatment and whatnot. So we're excited about that. And then the directory, churches and faith communities receptive to individuals in recovery, set to celebrate recovery. The importance of all of this right here that we just went over today, and we took a lot of time, but it's wonderful because of the input that we got from everyone, is to see exactly what it is we need to work on at the tables. You've heard us mention something about table topics, those of you who were on the call or who viewed the video. The table, what we try to do with the summit, because we know if we all just come in and sit down at tables and go, okay, what do we want to work on? We're probably going to take a good 2-3 hours to get started. If we can help educate people about the main topics that we want to work on, the critical ones, those that you guys determine are the most critical, that we can set tables up and get a feel for who would like to work on what project, so that when they say 80 to 85% of the people that walk in this summit already have a mission in mind, ready to sit down and collaborate on creating these action plans with the other partners at the table, that it saves a lot of time. And it actually gets us to the point of where we have an action plan that following this summit, hey, guess what? Something actually does happen. And that's what we have found is crucial. People are exhausted with going to summits and conferences and hearing wonderful people speak and learning lots of stuff and networking. That's all wonderful. But let's do that, and then let's take it one step further and create an action plan to success. Mariel, are you still on?
Yep.
I didn't know if you want to maybe just briefly, because we've got like, I think, we got just a few minutes to go over, check my clock here. Yeah, we've got a couple of minutes to go over what the survey that's going to be sent out to attendees, which, by the way, you guys got a copy of the compilation of what came back on surveys sent to the entire Western region. Mariel put that together for us. So you can kind of get an idea of how these surveys really give us an idea of what we need to do at the summit. But yours will be uniquely yours. So Mariel, I'll let you speak on that.
We send the survey to all registrants and compile them. The survey is specific to the group. I gave you what came out of the, I guess it was the Western North Carolina from last year, last fall, just as a starting point. The idea of the surveys is to gauge one is sort of a level of understanding. How much are the people who are coming, how much do they already understand and know about the critical issues, not just in their own sectors, but in adjacent sectors? The idea being, we don't want to spend a lot of time preaching to the choir. We don't want to spend a lot of time educating people who are already educated and can probably stand there, and be the educators. The surveys help us sort of get a handle on how invested the people who are registered are in the process. And then most of all, I think it really does get a handle on what do people want to see come out of a summit? What are the goals? What in an ideal world would happen? What barriers are being faced in your specific communities, not, what's being faced across the state, but literally in your communities? And how can we arrange the room and the topics in such a way that what we found in the past is if you don't have topics, you don't ask people to pick a topic area ahead of time, what happens is that they get to the room without any focus. Whereas if you give them a topic that is something they've chosen, that topic can be pretty general. The neat thing about the first summit in an area like this one is that it's both an opportunity and a challenge. It's a challenge because you don't have the focus, and sometimes it's a little difficult to pull that focus together. So the survey helps bring, at least initially, the people at your table, at each table should have some minor investment in education, prevention, law enforcement, whatever that table general topic is. And the table can play out that people will change. They'll move seats. They'll maybe the entire table will say, well, we thought it was messaging, but really it's curriculum development. And there's no reason not to do that. The survey is just to get us a starting point. Any particular questions that you want to ask, you as the focus group on the survey, now would be a good time to sort of give that a little thought and send that to Deborah so we can include it in the survey. We do prefer the survey stay fairly small, something that can be completed in 3 to 5 minutes ideally. We have a remarkable return rate on the survey because it is people who are coming to the event who are already minorly invested in terms of their time. So generally they tend to be fairly informative as long as we ask the right questions. And like I said, we can ask whatever questions we as a group want. We have the stock, what are your goals? What are your expectations? What are the challenges that you face? But also think in terms of what's unique to these 7 counties and how we can frame some of those survey questions to not only show we have a minor understanding, but we also are really invested in the local perspective.
I want to insert in here too. You can see the importance of why we say, you'll see on your agenda there, do not share the invitation. The only reason we say that is a lot of people see that as an invitation and they don't process the fact that they need to register. Without registering, a number of things happen. Number 1, they don't get the survey. Number 2, they don't get the prompts to register. And number 3, if they don't register, we won't have enough food, we won't have enough space, seats for them, we won't have enough summit materials for them. So it's just our way of keeping track of who all is going to come. If you're wanting to share your invitation, at the very least, if you'll send us names and emails of who you have sent the invitation to, so that we can follow up and make sure they do register if they intend to come, and that they do get the surveys and all of this. Does that make sense to you guys? Or do you have any questions about that at all? It's awful quiet out there. I see a number of people are still on, and I know everybody's about to hop off. And does this make sense about getting a focus before you come to the meeting? Any concerns or questions about that?
No, it makes good sense. I just want to chime in for just a minute because I've not said a lot. This is my first meeting, and I'm just kind of surprised to go over all of this. I'm talking with my sheriff via text as I'm listening to the meeting, because this is all kind of stuff like he and I tossed around a year and a half ago, because I'm super, super passionate about the drug problem we have here in Graham County and the fact that there's no resources here for these people. So I'm so excited. excited to see this in action.
Well, you guys have got an amazing group of individuals up there. Some great work is happening. There's areas that we need to get some great work happening. There's no question. And this 7-county summit was a direct spinoff of the regional summit, which was the single largest regional we've ever done, with the most excited representation there. I mean, literally, for those of you, I think that were on the call last time, I may have said this, I apologize. We had to prompt them to get up and take their breaks. This is how excited the work groups were when they sat down to actually start on their action plans. It was, Kay, you remember, it was unbelievable. And we had so much come out of that. And this is a big piece of it. It was, hey, these 7 Western counties are so remote. We need to do something we need to go to them, essentially. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to come to you all, hear what you have to say, bring all this wonderful work that's being done together, and figure out what we need to do to fill the gaps. And
that is amazing.
Well, go ahead.
I think the challenge is that there's already a $200,000 federal HRSA grant that is doing what you're asking us to do. And we're getting ready for the last 2 meetings before the reports are published. So I'm going to encourage everybody on this call to start attending the Harm Reduction Alliance meetings for the 7 Western counties, because we're not going to get another federal planning grant. It's not going to happen. So if you're not at the table, Vanessa, I haven't made contact with you before. If you can come to the meetings, then Graham County can be represented in the reports that we're getting ready to file with the feds. These reports are going to guide future funding for this region. And so I know it says Harm Reduction Alliance, but we're talking about prevention, treatment, and recovery services for all 7 counties. So we're getting ready right now to start talking about the strategic, what do we need to fill in these gaps? And so your voices are really super duper important.
Such a good point, Stephanie. Such a good point. I know we're right at the 12 o'clock hour. I want to close out. We didn't get quite to everything, but what we got to was phenomenal, and I want to thank all of you. Let me ask you all this. Would it be helpful if I send you the list of people that have already registered, to all of our focus group members here, so you can look at that and say, oh, so-and-so is not on here, or oh, so-and-so is coming. That's great. Let me see if this will come. Would that be helpful to you all?
Yes.
Could you also, Deborah, maybe you've sent it, I was just looking, because when I get your emails, it just comes to me. I don't see the other people who receive it. Could you send us a list of who actually is participating in the focus group call? I know several folks, but I don't know that I know everyone.
I got you. Is this Shelley again?
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely, I can send you the list. No problem. Anything else from anyone that I can do for you?
I would just say, when you get that list of those who have registered, make yourself a little graph of all your segments in your community and see who's missing and try to urge them to come.
Just so you guys know, we have 103 people registered so far. Pretty incredible numbers. Yeah. We're really excited. A lot of good work by a lot of good people. Kay, you've done a great job pulling together the list and speaking to people. And all of you. Stephanie, I know you're bringing some people in. I'm going to work Claudia and all of you guys. I've got projects for you. I can't thank you all enough. I know you're busy people. You're brilliant people. You've got a lot of experience and you bring a lot to the table, and we thank you all so much. Now, the next meeting 2 weeks out, is 11 o'clock still a good time for everyone?
Yes.
Okay. July 22nd then, 11 o'clock. We'll have the video of this meeting. For anybody who missed it, we'll send it out to everyone on that focus group list so we can keep them going. We'll get, Shelley, I'll get you this list of people on the focus group. Would everybody like a copy of that?
Yeah, sure. I was going to say, I think everybody probably would like it.
Cool. So I'll title that, and I'll also send a list of everyone who is registered right up to the time I send that email. And everybody's got my phone number and my email address. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, Deb.
We'll pick up next week. Thank you all.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Goodbye, all.